Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to talk about two books. First up is Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent, and the second book is the third in the Legends of thezzmarr series by Helen, and it's called Fate and Furies. So let's get into the first book. This is one of the most popular adult romantasy books. It's one of the most popular books on Kindle Unlimited, and I have tried to read this book countless times, and for some reason, it just wouldn't stick. Like, I don't know what it was. Maybe I just didn't like the characters. I was interested in the plot, but I don't know. It was just a struggle for me. It wasn't like my other reading experiences. So let's get into it. I think that there was a missed opportunity in this book for the training scene specifically. So I know that our main character, Araya, was raised by the Vampire King and she's been taught how to kill, how to fight, whatever. So she is probably already well prepared to participate in the Kajari. I almost said Karaji. In the Kajari. But she still has to do a bunch of training, which she does, but they're not detailed. And I was one of those people that I kind of used to hate training scenes, or I used to hate traveling scenes. Those aren't the same thing, but like in my head that they were both kind of like boring as hell. Rebecca Yarros changed my mind. Not to bring up Fourth Wing, but I am going to bring it up because I think that the training scenes in there were such a perfect opportunity to build tension, to get that character connection. I don't know. It was just, and also show that our main character is working on her skills and that it's a struggle. Like, she doesn't always win. But then when she trains the next time, maybe she wins this time. Like, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can see the improvement throughout the training scenes. But if you just kind of gloss over those and say like, oh, she spent the next 5 days training, like, okay, I don't want to see all the training scenes. I don't want them all to be boring, but I think some of them could have been useful as a tool. Like, it was a missed opportunity to build that tension. That's what I'm saying. Because that was one of my favorite parts of Fourth Wing, honestly. But yeah, I think I don't necessarily want my main character to start from ground zero. Like, I don't want to see them first learning how to wield a weapon. But when she starts off with so much experience from her father training her all these years, which that's just her father though. I feel like in order for her to be in the Kajari, she needs to practice with other people, you know? Like, I just thought it was weird that she was only training with Rain and Misha. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. So anyway, I got distracted. We missed that opportunity. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, also another part is her magic. So that was another thing that I was confused about because I didn't know if Vincent taught her about her magic or if he even had that magical ability. But I know Misha was the one that was training her on the magic. But like, you know what I mean? If you gloss over the training scenes and then by the time we get to the competition, she's, you know, killing it, it's just kind of unconvincing to me. Even if she had the prior experience, it just feels like I'm reading something that's a little bit unbelievable because I like to see the main character struggle during training or even struggle during the actual competition. Which, okay, yeah, sometimes like she got an injury of some sorts, but like, do you know what I mean? It just felt like a lot of character armor. That's how I feel. But and then the threats, I was kind of confused. Like, they didn't even really go into depth about like what these demons are, or I don't, girl, I don't know. This was just not my favorite. Like, let me just say that. Like, I gave the book 3 stars. I felt like there were a lot of similarities to Throne of Glass. Like, in Throne of Glass, how there's a competition to become the king's assassin. A lot of people died throughout it. And, you know, but I felt like it wasn't as good. It was spicy, unlike Throne of Glass, because Throne of Glass started off as a YA series. So I did really enjoy the spice in this book. I think that's the only reason I'm going to keep going with the second book. Although I will say I started the second book and I'm liking it, even though there's no spice so far. I do like the politics and, yeah, just like explaining the war and everything that's going on and like how they're going to handle this moving forward. And I just find a lot of what's going on pretty interesting in the second book. I feel like we're really getting into the nitty gritty, whereas the first book, it felt like it was all about the competition, which makes sense, but I feel like there still could have been a good balance. Like, there still could have been the competition while explaining all the tensions. And they did explain some stuff about the vampires and the rivalries and the alliances and whatever, but it really was more about the competition itself and then whatever happens at the end, which I wasn't really expecting what happened at the end. I was confused. Like, I was a little bit confused about what Rain's plan even was. So I guess he just gave up towards the end, and like, because it made more sense because he made the allyship, or he made the alliance with the Bloodborne guy. And me trying to explain this, I just sound absolutely ridiculous. But him making that alliance, realizing that it probably wasn't going to go well for him, and just deciding that she would be best to rule the world. Although I don't think he knew she was an heir. So I have no clue. I have no clue what's, well, yeah, I have no clue. How did he know that she was going to be the heir though? Because he didn't know he was going to live to kill her father. So I don't know. Like, is it just me, or am I overthinking this? Am I missing something? This person just pulled up next to me just to sit there for 10 minutes and then leave. Maybe they were going to do the exact same thing as me, which is record a video. But so her father was weird. I have a controlling father. I mean, he was more controlling when I was a minor under his roof, which, I mean, as a parent should. Like, you should probably be controlling of your children in a sense. Like, you are responsible for them. So I guess I do have a complicated relationship with my dad in that aspect, and like certain parts of the book about how Araya felt like she had to be obedient to her dad, and like she felt guilty for like ever questioning him, because like he knows best. Like, he has always protected her. Like, you know, I really related to that, but I didn't really relate to some of the weird parts about Vincent. Like, I don't know, just, it was weird. I mean, the whole thing is supposed to be morally gray. I thought it was pretty interesting how she was thinking that, trigger warning SA, but her first time with the guy that she loved, he ended up recently turning, and he was, what's the word? I don't know. He took advantage of her. She, I think, said stop or no, or was trying to get away from him, and he wouldn't let her. Not only did he like continue with the sexual aspect, but I think he started feeding on her. So she has trauma from that. And then the part where her dad gives her the sword and like has her lover tied up and is like, kill him. Yeah, that was a very interesting moment, which I'm curious to see what everybody else thinks about it. Like, I already want to go on a Reddit and like see what everybody says, because sometimes I have my own opinion and then I'm like, oh no, like, you know, people are saying something that makes so much more sense. But I realize I'm yelling into this microphone. But yeah, I don't know how to feel about that, because she did say like it's unexcusable, it's unforgivable, but he was recently turned, and like she did feel for him. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, did he feel remorse? Maybe. I don't know. That, obviously, I don't think he deserved to die, unless he was completely unashamed about it and continued to do it to other people. Again, it's not an excuse for what he did in that moment, but like, could he have had redemption in his life? Perhaps. I don't know. So, I mean, I'm not going to villainize Vincent for that. Also, I don't know how old they were at this time. Wasn't she still a teenager? So maybe I will villainize him for it, because I guess it's not really his job to be like the judge, jury, executioner. Like, it's just, and if that's not what she truly wanted, I feel like he should have waited for, like, if she wanted to get her vengeance later, like if she, you know, I don't know. I think that there was, if we're being realistic about it, not thinking about this like a fantasy book, like obviously, it would be up to her how she wants to handle that trauma. Like, you know, that stuff that we see in fantasy books all the time. Like, or I think it even happened in this book where, maybe not, but yeah, like the girl hates someone, and then the male main character also wants to hurt that guy and kill that guy, but she's like, no, I want to do it. So I guess it was kind of one of those things where we were shown that Vincent does not actually care about her autonomy, I suppose. I don't know. I get that he was trying to teach her a lesson, whatever. So he's morally gray, but I think he is a bad person. Like, are we defending him? I don't think so, because I get that he was just making hard decisions in the war, but I mean, he committed a genocide, did he not? And failed to let Araya know about it. So I'm assuming Araya's going to come to her senses. Like, girl, be real. I understand her grieving, and I know that he's morally great to her, perhaps. Meanwhile, Rain and I are like, that man deserved to die. Like, hello. But yeah, it's difficult. I appreciated having a character like that who was complicated. It kind of reminds me, I'm not going to say it, but like another father figure in this other series I read, the Crescent City series. I won't say who, but like a particular father figure who was so complicated to me because I couldn't tell. Like, it seemed like he loved his child, but it was questionable at times. However, I think the difference with what I'm thinking of, the father that I'm thinking of in Crescent City, and Vincent, I do feel like Vincent did love Araya. But did he? Because he was trying to use her and he lied to her. But is it possible he still loved her in a way? I know some people cried over that scene. I didn't, but I did appreciate what he said about, or not appreciate, but I loved that quote where he said, I loved you from the first moment. Aww, that was hard, but like, what can I say? I don't know. Was he grooming her the whole time to just take her Nightfire powers? Like, who knows? Like, I'm that's why I want to read the second book, because I want to know what was his intention with her. Did he ever love her as a daughter, or was it always a game? Because think about it, she even mentioned it, like, he's lived like 200 years and she's only been around for like 20 of his years. So what's it to him? It's not like a human life where you spend 20 of your 80 or so years raising a child. It's so much more meaningful to you. That's not to say it wouldn't be meaningful to an immortal, but in my head, it's a little bit easier to understand maybe how he could have not cared for her, even if he did care for her physically. Like, I don't know. There's a difference. Okay, so the romance, I don't know. I know that Araya's just kind of like that. She's not super emotional. She's kind of distant and closed off and banters and makes like harsh jokes, but it just felt weird at times. Like, I don't even know if they actually like each other. I wasn't really convinced. I felt like there wasn't enough vulnerability between the two of them. They didn't really open up to each other. Maybe that will happen in book 2, but it just felt like a lot of sexual tension. It didn't really feel serious. I guess some people feel that way about Fourth Wing and that main romance, but I actually felt it more with them personally. I feel like they had like similar goals. They had like the same heart. And I guess that's the thing. I feel like they just tried to explain to me that Araya and Rain were like the same person, that they had this connection, but with Violet, me saying it, with Violet and her main love interest, which I won't say if you haven't read the book, but I think everyone knows, I really did feel it. Like, it didn't feel like silly banter. It felt like a true falling for each other. Like, Violet admires the male love interest. Like, I don't know. I just think that there was more. I was convinced more of that one. I wasn't really convinced of Araya and Rain besides just the sexual tension. So anyway, I loved the feeding scene. I loved the spicy scene. I loved how long it was. Like, Carissa Broadbent put her entire coochie into that chapter. Like, and you know what I loved is that it wasn't just written the way a lot of spicy scenes are. I've read a lot of spicy scenes recently, and sometimes they're just repetitive, or like literally use the same words, the same sequence of events. And as I was reading it, I was just kind of on the edge of my seat because it felt like Carissa was using a completely different writing style. Okay, not completely different, girl. Like, it wasn't abstract, but like it felt like her writing of intimate scenes was different from what I usually read. And I loved it. I really did love the spicy scenes. I also love the feeding scene. That was another thing. Like, she was teasing me with the feeding scene. Like, it was so many pages before finally. And then when he puts his lips to her throat, he's still not even sucking yet. Like, he's still not even getting the blood yet. Like, it's just like the tease was everything. So I continued on to book 2 because I really liked the spice. And I was left curious about what's going to happen moving forward. Since, surprise, they were both revealed to be heirs, which was just cliche, but I wasn't expecting it because I was really convinced that she was unrelated to Vincent, but I guess I didn't think about the fact that maybe turned people could be heirs too, but she's supposedly not turned. So I'm like, what is she? Like, is she a serpent? Like, I'm waiting for something to be revealed because there's mention of her teeth a lot. So I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And I will say book 2 is starting off well, so I'm pleased at that. But it's so weird to me that it's a duology. I'm like, oh no. Like, good? Because I don't know if there's enough. No, but there is. Like, as I'm reading book 2, I'm like, how are all of these things going to be wrapped up? Okay, so back to book 1, though. The side characters were done a complete injustice. Like, I did care for Misha, and I thought she was so sweet and had, like, the most cute, bubbly personality. But we didn't get to form that much of a bond to her. I feel like she could have been around more. There could have been more scenes with her, but not even just her. Like the other side characters, like Angelica, Ivan, Ibrahim, like briefly they would be talked about. But the difference is with Throne of Glass, I knew a lot about the side characters. Like we knew who was evil and out to kill the competition. There was just more moments like outside of the competition. And that's the problem I have. Like, okay, there's some tension during the competition, maybe a scene or two more with Ibrahim, but it just felt unfinished. Like, I get that Araya and Raynor are main characters, and Misha was probably the most detailed side character, but still, like, I felt like there should have been more because I really care to see good friendships, intimate friendships in my books, and I wasn't getting that. So if it wasn't Misha, it should have been someone else. Like, did she make I guess since everybody had to die in the competition, because that's usually how it goes, so maybe you don't want to get close with anyone except for your ally, that makes sense. But I guess outside of the competition, when there were so many weeks in between competitions, and she was allowed to go out on the town, and that was another thing, like them killing for fun. And I know that they killed bad people, but I guess it kind of goes back to Vincent trying to be the judge, jury, executioner, and now her doing it too. And let me just say, I have no sympathy for these violent criminals, like trying to prey on children even at times. So honestly, go off, queen. But like, I don't understand why she couldn't just beat them up. It was kind of strange to me that she was just killing people willy-nilly. I don't know. And I'm confused about where her politics lie. Where do her loyalties lie? Because it's very complicated and morally gray. Like, as I'm reading this second book, like, her now, I guess I can't get too much into it, but like, she wants to call other people a hypocrite, but I feel like she's a hypocrite too. Like, war is just complicated in general, but like, it's a lot. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else I had to say. Yeah, I do think that Throne of Glass was overall just a better written book. The friendships, female friendships, the villains, there was multiple, and it wasn't just like, oh, Angelica, back to this book. It wasn't like Angelica making some crude remarks, or I don't like showing up because she was mad that, I don't know. This book was it just wasn't perfect for me. It was very average. That's why I'm giving it 3 stars. Like, I think that the spicy scenes were written so well and I really liked them. But as for the couple themselves, I still don't love them as a couple. And it's kind of getting worse in book 2. I don't really know what's going on. But I think that there's a lot of unanswered questions. She did intrigue me. I finally finished the freaking book. Oh, another thing about Alana. Like, I guess you could call her a side character. You kind of had her in the beginning. I guess tried to get us endeared to her, killed her off, and I'm supposed to be sad about it. Like, Araya is constantly referring to her grief because I guess the only people she had around her were Alana and Vincent. So, okay, I get it. But as a reader, I need to feel the emotions. Like, I need to witness the bonding, and I need to understand the grief. Maybe I'm not supposed to understand, but I didn't feel like, I felt sad, but you showed me like one scene with Alana and then want to reference her the entire book, and I'm supposed to feel sad about it. I was more sad about Vincent dying because I got so many conversations with him and flashbacks, and I don't know, I just felt like the side characterization was weak. That's how I feel. And then as for Araya and Rain themselves, I don't even feel like they're that likable. I don't feel like they have that much personality. Like, and I was so annoyed with Rain saying, "There she is." I like that phrase, but it should just be sprinkled every now and then. Like, I guess now it's like an inside joke or like now his catchphrase, but I don't know if anybody else was annoyed by that, but I sure was. I sure was. And I'm just tired of them, especially Araya, but I get it. I get it. Because I can also be like that. Like, I don't want to be emotionally vulnerable. I don't want to flirt. Like, sometimes you want to just do the sarcastic banter and, like, protect your heart. Okay, but it just got tired after a while. It's like, girl, she's strong-willed. I don't have anything wrong with that. It's just, they're both just, like, bland. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. And they're just like they're so powerful. I'm like, okay, well, if you're so powerful, where do we go from here? Like, I don't know, you get your arm ripped off and then it's fixed with this potion. Like, it's just, where are the consequences? Okay, so I guess Vincent died, but there just wasn't enough in this book to sell me on it. I think I'm forgetting some things because I had notes, but I don't have my iPad with me, so I'll have to put them in the description box or something. But let's go on to Fate and Furies. So if you guys watched my last video where I talked about Fate and Furies, but I hadn't finished the book yet, something that I had mentioned was how pissed I was that, not me forgetting his name, girl, that our main character didn't speak to her for a year, just disappeared. Then we find out that he was actually collecting people's memories of their Great Rite experience, so that way he could show it to her so she could prepare. But in my head, I'm like, when you left, you told her that she was ready for the Great Rite. So, like, in that entire year, you were doing this nonsense, and maybe you wouldn't have gotten it to her in time. And then also, you said zip. You said absolutely nothing to her this whole time, and then you expected her to not throw that crap in the river. Like, are you dumb? And then I was kind of annoyed with, I can't think of her name right now. But I was kind of annoyed with her apologizing and, like, feeling so bad for not believing him. Like, girl, no, you were so right to not believe him. So what if he proved his love to you all that time and blah, blah, blah? Like, you go ghost on me for a year. Yeah, I'm going to assume, like, so sorry that I have common sense and I assumed no matter what you said or no matter what we did together, like, you are a man. You're just a man. It's just what you do. Like, yeah, why would you not think that he abandoned you, girl? So stop apologizing. Stop apologizing. So I appreciate that he's like, no, you don't have to apologize. He admits his faults too, but I'm still kind of annoyed by her. Like, Thea is her name. God, Thea. Like, don't feel bad. Don't. So I have to go, y'all, but there was something else. Oh, okay. This book was such an improvement from book 2. Book 2 was spice start to finish. There was literally like 10 scenes. Okay, maybe not literally, but I crap you not. There was like 10 spicy scenes. It was excessive. All the spicy scenes themselves were delicious, were great, were well written. Love you, Helen. But the second book, I think I gave it 3 stars because it was just, what is happening here? Third book, it's like she listened to the complaints because there was like 1 spicy scene, maybe 2, and there was just a good slow burn. There was a lot of plot. There was a lot of friendship moments between Cal and Kip. That is what I'm talking about. Those are the types of side characters I need. I need funny, interesting side characters, interesting friends, and we learn about them and we know, like, oh, this person's dating or this person likes XYZ. Like, I could tell you about them. Same thing kind of with Fourth Wing, even though I think the side characters kind of got pushed to the side in Iron Flame. Like, I need to love the side characters because I want to love everyone I'm reading. And when I get sick of the main characters, I want to rely on the side characters. And that is what was successful about this series in general. And it's not done. I cannot wait for book 4. It comes out in October, and I'm on the edge of my freaking seat. Because where we leave off, where he gets taken in by King Artos, and what is she left with at the end? I don't know, but she knows that she needs to go and save him, but other stuff is going on too. She is now a war sword. I love this for this queen. The great right. So proud of her. So yeah, I am invested. Like just thinking about this book versus the other book, not to compare, but just again, the side characters, the romance, like I really feel it between these two. And I was so glad that they were able to reconcile. And I feel like that explanation, although I found it a little bit ridiculous, I was satisfied with that. I was satisfied with him spending that year traveling all across the world to like compile these things for her that would be helpful. And even though that wasn't really referenced while she was in the Great Right, like maybe a sentence or two, but I was like, okay, girl, like did you learn anything? Like was it even was it pointless? Like did you experience anything that was in that memory orb? Like I was just hoping that would be a circle back moment, but I don't know. But also the fact that our male main character, who I'm literally forgetting the name of right now, but like when he got bit by the spider or whatever, and now he's taken in by King Artos, like I'm just panicking, girl. I'm like, what is gonna happen? But I hope that there's a happily ever after. Oh, and then when she asked the fates, okay, her question being, what are your names? Okay, feminist, yes, but like, really, girl? But why would you actually care? Like, why would you actually care though? Because they just put you through the ringer, and now you're gonna ask that? Like, no, you need to be looking out for number one. Why would you? Whatever. Maybe it's gonna have something to do with whatever happens later. But them saying, oh no, you have enough time to do all the things you want to do. What do you mean I have enough time? I have a year left in my life. Like I don't care. I don't care if Thea like brings world peace in this next year. I don't think that that's fair. Like why should she have to have a short life? I know some people just have short lives, but I guess the realism is too realistic, right? Because this is devastating. So I'm wondering if in book 4, is she actually going to die at 27? That's what it's looking like. That's what it's looking like. And I hate that. I need the happily ever after. Like, I just want them to be married and, like, enjoy. Like, she doesn't have to be immortal, but, like, also, even if she brings about, like, world peace or, like, does a lot of good, the work is never done. Like, she needs to stick around. Like, what? I don't know. What are y'all's theories? Like, I know that this book series, I wouldn't say it's unpopular, but I know it's not like as popular as some other series, but like I need to discuss this at length. Like, do y'all understand? Like, I love this series. Book 2 really was although I did really like the spice and I missed it at times, it was too much, but she completely redeemed herself in book 3. And now I want to recommend this series to everyone. It is so good. And I think that's all I have to say. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If I forgot anything, I'll put it in the description box because I'm sure that I did. I will talk to you guys in my next video. Let me know if you've read these books down below and your thoughts. I will also have my link tree down below so you can check out my Goodreads or my Bookstagram. And I will see you next time. Bye.